Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Miss Evi Fitri Aklina MPD as our teacher of Introduction to Literature and all of my beloved friends. We are from Group 5. We will explain to you the materials about approach to literature interpretation. Literary criticism or literary interpretation is a creative process. It consists of defining, classifying, expounding, and evaluating works of literature. Readers thinking about literature, literary appreciation and interpretation has grown more varied and complex. The reading of literary works now has to reckon with competing critical perspective which allow for different and interesting interpretation of the text, the role of the authors, the context of the text and its language, and also, importantly, the role of the readers. This might be classified as context-oriented approach, author-oriented approach, text-oriented, and language-oriented approach, and also reader-oriented approach. The next material will be delivered by Fadila Milinia Hakim.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fadila Milini Hakim. I'm from 4H. I will explain about the material approaches to critical interpretation of literary works. The first material is author-oriented approaches. The author-oriented approaches are to the traditional approaches that focus on the writer's mind through all the factors that contribute to the study of the authorial intentions. This approach considers the author as a god. As for the critic, he is the prized whose task is to decipher the writing of the god. And the second material is classicism. Classicism implied the pursuit of the ideal characters of literature in the classic Greco-Roman traditional. Italian Renaissance and literary scholarship aim to discovering treasures of classic literature. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ridwan Septiano and I want to explain about humanistics approach. The word humanist refers to one who is learned in the field of humanities. Humanism assumed the romantic position of man as the center of the universe and emphasizes the primacy of reason and imagination as against animals' passion. The term humanism was coined in the mid-15th century. It refers to scholarly humanists who edited and explained in the classic in Greek and Latin that had contributed to the European Renaissance. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Corinne Nuraini. I will continue the material. The next material is about content-oriented approach of the 20th century. The first one is about biographical criticism. Biographical criticism highlights the view that knowledge of the author's life can help the reader to understanding and appreciation of the work. A biographical criticism focuses on the explicating the literary work by using the insight gained from knowledge of the author's life. The second is historical criticism. There are four steps in the historical criticism. The first one is discovering the time when the poem was made. What happened to the authors in that time? Or is there any special moment in that time which is recorded by historian? And then the second one is analyzed by at glance whether it is connect or not between the content of literary work and the certain historical moments after finding out the basic information of it, connecting the when. Okay, the third is finding the clues left by the author, and then the last is interpreting the literary work based on the moment underlying the creation of it by comprehending and analyzing the content. Okay, the next is psychoanalytic criticism. Psychoanalytic criticism uses psychological theories and the technique of psychoanalysis for interpretation of literary text. Okay, I think enough. That's all for me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, the next material is sociological criticism. Sociological criticism explored the relationship between the artist and society. Sociological criticism also analyzed the social context of literary work, that is, what cultural, economic, or political values a particular text implicitly promotes. Okay, the next, Marxist criticism. Marxist criticism often explored the ideological content of literature. Marxist criticism is frequently evaluative and judge some literary work to be better than others on an ideological basis. This tendency can lead to reductive judgment and on the literary output. Okay, the next, mythic criticism. Mythic criticism is an interdisciplinary approach to combine the insights of anthropology, psychology, history, and comparative religion. A central concept in mythic criticism is the archetype, a symbol, character, situation, or image that evokes a deep universal response. Okay, I think enough. The next material will be delivered Diana Turosida.
The next material is text-oriented approaches. A. Formalism. Formalism, one of the first major schools of literary study in the 20th century, was a reaction to biographical and historical theories of literature. It considered literature as form and content is only an effect of form. Formalism may be called a necessary first step in any study of literature. Formalism involves the reader in the narrative, presenting the reader with symbolic objects, characters, events in the story. To analyze a story, the formalist critic focuses on the words of the text rather than the facts about the author's life or the historical context in which it was written. B. Russian formalism. Russian formalism established a scientific basis for the theory of literature. The Moscow Linguistic Circle was founded in 1915 before the Russian Revolution of 1917.
Okay, I'm Destiana Anggarinta here. I would like to continue the material from my group, and the next is about new criticism. Eric Charles, 1893 until 1979, a major exponent of new criticism, exposed the dependence of literary criticism on props, such as the biographical details of the author or the historical background to the literary work, all of which lay outside the text. The new critics maintain their interpretation entirely based on the context of the language of the text, thus giving rise to the critical practice called intrinsic criticism, or criticism within the confines of the text as opposed to extrinsic criticism. And the next is about emergency of practical criticism. Prior to the 1920, literary criticism took a largely historical slant to understand a text. Critics often look to its historical background and the history of the language used in the text. But in 19 to 29, a literary critic at Cambridge by the name of Ivor Armstrong Richards, 18 to 93 until 19 to 79, published Practical Criticism. His book report on experiment involved people reading and responding to poems without knowing who the authors were. The first is intentional fallacy. According to intentional fallacy, it is impossible to determine an author's reason for reading a text without directly asking him. And the last is effective fallacy. Similarly, effective fallacy claims that we shouldn't waste time thinking about the effect a text may have on the reader because then we are polluting the text with our subject influence. So we should ignore how beautiful a poem might be our reaction to an emotional novel. That's all. I think enough. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.